Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to Common English Mistakes. Don't just learn, improve. So today we're going to look at something one of you guys asked about, which is the difference between states and action verbs. Generally, I find students are okay with this, but there are some common mistakes people make and parts where it's a bit confusing. So we'll look at the general concepts of what state and action verbs are, when and when not to use them, the common mistakes people make. The most common of these I'll highlight with 2 stars. Verbs which can be both action and state. These will be highlighted in purple. And most interestingly, times when native speakers break the rules. So anyway, the mistake is up here. I'm not understanding this. Just pause the video, try to correct the sentence. And well done if you said, I don't understand this. So we have action verbs like I'm speaking, she's living, or same situation as the original example, this is confusing me. Each of those are either happening now or temporary, and we can use them in the continuous form. Whereas the verbs here, be, have, and understand, are all states, and we can't use these in a continuous form, even if it's talking about now or temporary. You don't say she's being happy, I'm having lots of work, or I'm not understanding this. I've used the present continuous because it's the easiest example, but this applies to every continuous form. Past, present perfect, past perfect, and future continuous. However, that doesn't mean we never use these verbs in a verb ing form. After a preposition or certain verbs, like imagine, we need a gerund or verb ing. So we say, I'm sorry for doubting you, or can you imagine being a billionaire? So that's the general concept. Basically, don't use state verbs in continuous sentences. Let's now look at some types of state verbs. The most common is these: thought, belief, or opinion verbs. We don't say, I'm agreeing with you, I wasn't meaning to hurt you, or I'm not remembering this. Always need to say, I agree with you, I didn't mean to hurt you, I don't remember. Those aren't that common. The one to watch out for is that example sentence. I'm not understanding this. I even heard this in a B2 first certificate lesson recently from a very good student. And another verb people often use incorrectly because of how it is in their language is the verb know. In these sentences, it's not being used in the continuous, but 2 of them are using it as an action. So see if you can spot which is the incorrect sentence where know is an action and try to correct it with a different verb or phrase. And well done if you said, I like to meet new people. It takes time to get to know someone, to mean go from not knowing to knowing someone or something. And the final sentence, it's being used as a state, so it's correct. Always make sure you meet people, then get to know them, and then you know them. And it's the same for something like a city, place, or culture. Often students say, I like to know new places. Again, know is the state, so you can know a city or a place very well. Get to know is the transition between not knowing and knowing. And obviously we don't meet cities or places, you need to use another verb. maybe visit new places, explore, and for culture, experience. The next group of stative verbs are likes, preferences, and desires. These ones here. We don't say, I'm wanting a new bike. You're always going to say, I want a new bike. A lot of these, though, are where native speakers break the rules in colloquial language. We'll look at that later. The next group of state verbs, which we generally don't use in the continuous, are our senses. Taste, smell, see, hear, and feel. Although feel can generally be both, and we're going to look at that later. We don't say, I'm smelling something bad, this is tasting delicious, are you seeing that bird, or I'm hearing a siren, even though they're happening now. You always say, I smell something bad, this tastes delicious, do you see that bird, and I hear a siren. The only time you would use these in the continuous form is specifically with smell and taste when it's active. For example, this woman is smelling the flowers, this chef is tasting the soup, actively doing it to get the sense. The next group is to talk about existence or perception. We don't say, she is being happy at the moment, or you are seeming tired. Always, she is happy, you seem tired. That one's really not a problem, I find. And finally, state verbs of possession. Have, own, and possess. Have can be a bit confusing because it can be both. We're going to look at that next. Be careful with own, because I have heard this recently. I'm not owning a car at the moment. Again, even though it's temporary, always in the simple. I don't own a car at the moment. So anyway, those are the state verbs. Again, just be careful for those ones highlighted with stars. Those are the ones that I hear most often. So let's now look at verbs which can be both state and action. The most common and most commonly confused one is have. Generally, we use this for possession. I have a Samsung. Giraffes have long necks. The earth has an atmosphere. But do be careful, even if it's something temporary. We still say, I have the flu at the moment, not I'm having the flu at the moment, and I have a lot of free time, not I'm having a lot of free time. But then when we use have as part of a phrase, it's an action and follows the same rules for present simple versus present continuous, present perfect versus present perfect continuous, etc. The first group, I'm sure you know, talking about meals and food. Have breakfast, lunch, dinner, a snack, etc. You would say, I'm sorry I can't talk right now, we're having dinner, or I've been having lunch at home this week. Not, I'm sorry I can't talk, we have dinner, or I've had lunch at home this week, because it follows exactly the same rules as any other action verb. Then actions like have a shower, bath, massage, or break. Where's John? He's having a shower. Then our social events, or events which involve people. So we're having a barbecue next week. Do you want to come? Things which involve talking, like a discussion, argument, debate, or fight. They were having an argument about football. Then have a problem or issue, or have problems or issues. Interestingly there, I would say if it's singular, you can probably use both. I have a problem with my car at the moment. I'm having a problem with my car at the moment. Either are fine. But just when you say it in the plural, I would always use that in the continuous. Sounds quite funny to say, I have problems with a class of mine. I'm always going to say I'm having problems with a class of mine. And then finally, and a bit confusingly, even though have time is a state, have a adjective plus a time period or time is going to be an action. So she's having an amazing time in Thailand. He's having a difficult week at work. So that's have. The next one, which can be both, is feel. Generally, this is quite easy because you can use continuous or simple interchangeably. I feel cold at the moment. I'm feeling cold at the moment. Both are fine. However, these three sentences are wrong. You can't use feel in the continuous. Just pause the video and see if you can think why for each one. And well done. If you said that to talk about your feelings or emotions, cold, happy, etc., we can use both. But if you're talking about the feelings that something gives you, you must use the simple. So, this bag feels heavy, giving me that feeling or sensation. This feels wrong. The situation is giving me this emotion. And then the last one is nice and simple. Just don't use feel like plus noun in the continuous. The next one is verb to be, which generally students use correctly. There are just two situations where you can use it as an action. Look at these two sentences here and think what they are. And well done if you said. Verb to be is an action and can be used in the continuous when it means behave in a certain way. You're being really unhelpful. My brother is being annoying. Or when it's just used as the phrase be sick. Sorry about that one. The next one, which can be both, is the verb to see. When we're talking literally, with our eyes, it's always a state. Like we said, do you see that bird? Not, are you seeing that bird? But I always tell my students, it's a really natural verb to use to mean meet socially. You can use it in the continuous to talk about the future. I'm seeing a friend next weekend, although I wouldn't use it in the past. You'd always say, I saw a friend last weekend. And the other meaning, where it's an action, is to have a romantic relationship with someone. So you say, are you seeing anyone at the moment? Or Mike's been seeing this girl for a while. Generally, I would use that to talk about the early stages of a relationship. And the final one, which can be both, is the verb to think. Generally, it's a state verb when it's a belief or opinion. I think your dress looks great. I think there's life on other planets. However, in these three situations, you can use it as an action. So just pause the video and see if you can think what the meaning is in each sentence. And well done. If you said, I'm thinking about going to Greece next month, maybe, maybe not. It's an action when you're contemplating something. Next one, I'm sorry for what I said. I wasn't thinking. It's an action when you're just talking about using your brain. And finally, what are you thinking of, thinking about right now? Literally, what thoughts are in your head? So those are the verbs which can be both. Let's now look at the situations where native speakers completely ignore a grammar textbook and use state verbs in the continuous. The first two are mean and want, specifically in the present perfect continuous or maybe the past perfect continuous. It would always be wrong, and people don't say I'm wanting or I'm meaning in the present continuous, but people do, and it's very common, say been wanting to or been meaning to. For example, I've been meaning to ask you something, or I've been wanting to go to that restaurant for a while. In fact, I even found a song which does this. Anyway, people often say those, and in my opinion, they're definitely in common usage. More controversial, and not just because one is in a McDonald's advert, are the verbs like, love, and hate. People do say these things. I'm loving your new shoes. I'm really liking the new season of this particular TV show. Or he's really hating his job at the moment. First thing to say is, obviously, these are just temporary things that you like, love, or hate, but they're also very, very informal, colloquial, and slang. And the final one is guess, which we usually use to mean think or estimate something with incomplete information. I guess you're about 30 years old. Or say what you think you should do. It's going to rain tomorrow. I guess we should take an umbrella. But people do also use it in the continuous when it's something you're guessing at the time of speaking. For example, as you're sick, I'm guessing you're not coming to the party. Again, it's more informal, more colloquial, but people do say it. Anyway, it's up to you what you do with those. Technically, all of them are grammatical mistakes and maybe don't use them in an exam, but the great Stephen Fry has a lovely quote on this. There is no right or wrong in language, there is only usage and convention, what people say. And while it may be a bit of a funny thing to include on an English mistakes channel, I think it's absolutely correct. Language doesn't stay the same, it changes and evolves over time. So personally, I think we want to learn the language that people are speaking today. So those first two, been meaning to, been wanting to, I would encourage you to use. The others are a little bit more slang, so it's up to you. Anyway, explanation over. There's no practice today because it's already been quite a long video. Just got one question. Which culture would you like to get to know more? So do write your answers in the comments, guys. Always good to practice a phrase which people often get wrong. Anyway, that's basically it for today. As ever, guys, if you enjoyed the video, are liking what I'm doing, do make sure to like, subscribe, share the videos with your friends. Would mean a lot. Other than that, I'll see you for another video in the next couple of days. So until next time, see ya.